and welcome to the Boot Room. Today we're going to look at the home defeat to Manchester City. In the science fiction TV and movie franchise Star Trek, there is a training simulation called the COYH Maru. The simulation is for captains of a fictional starship facing overwhelming odds. It is in fact a no-win scenario. Nothing the captain can do will lead to a positive outcome, and the idea of the test is to see how the player can deal with an almost certain failure. Tortured metaphor, yes, for Watford facing Manchester City, but possibly a reasonable one. Our record against City over the last few seasons has literally been a no-win scenario, and that's no surprise at all. The expensively assembled squad, possibly the most expensive bar possibly Paris Saint-Germain, possibly the best and most innovative coach in the world, are always going to present a pretty unstoppable force. Watford lined up in a 4-1-4-1 shape that flexes into the 4-3-3 when in possession, but against Manchester City, for long periods, possession would be a scarce commodity. Early on, City showed that by Silva pulling inside and dragging Danny Rose with him, they would look to create space for Sterling to exploit. City also showed that they were not above using corners and set-piece delivery to cause the Watford backline problems. This effort cleared off the line by Pedro. What felt like inevitable first goal came within 4 minutes of kickoff. Once again, the ball was switched to Sterling, who combined with Bernardo Silva. The defending of this resulted in Rose falling up against the advertising hoardings, but he did recover as the ball was switched to the other flank for Foden to cross. Rose had inexplicably, though then, failed to track Sterling's run, and he finishes at the far post. The headline of this goal is that Rose did not track the eventual scorer. However, looked at another angle, we can see further problems with the backline. Kiko fails to stop or block the cross. Cathcart's defensive run plays Sterling and Silva onside just at the moment that the ball is played. And throughout the piece, Troost-Ekong at no point defensively engages an opposition player. Yes, Rose is most culpable, but this demonstrates the work still to be done by Ranieri in getting the defence sorted. In previous games, this has involved pressing high and aggressively on the opposition up front and in midfield, but against this opposition we were less aggressive and less on the front foot. You can understand why when the quality of the opposition individually and collectively is as strong as City. Here, despite the attentions of Rose and Pedro, Sterling switches feet and gets a shot away despite the close proximity of 6 Watford players. Only a fine stop from Bachmann prevented a second goal on this occasion. Rose had an extremely difficult game. Another set piece here, and Grealish, who Rose is marking, uses the bodies of the players in front of him to get a run on Rose, and once again Bachmann saves with the ball headed firmly at him. Watford had periods of engaging City further up the field, and here we see King press Ederson. You can see by how close Ederson allows King to press before passing just how comfortable he is in possession, and that's just the goalkeeper. So whether pressing or dropping deeper, Watford struggled to contend with City, and the figures demonstrated their superiority. But for all that superiority, there were moments that showed that this Watford side have more about them than the points table would show. Sissoko recently moved away from his defensive midfield role due to the form of the recalled Imran Louza, went on some barrelling runs, and at no point surrendered to City dominance. Ranieri making him captain was clearly a very positive and well-considered move. Watford had some half chances before the one slightly misfiring cog in City's armoury, £100 million signing Jack Grealish, nearly got on the score sheet with a deflected effort. The save from Bachmann to react to the late deflection was really top class, and his overall display points to a return to form for the Austrian international. The second goal came with Watford pushing into City's half. The ball was played forward and Rose gave away a foul on the halfway line, but play was waved on. Gundogan got a shot away, but Bachmann again saved. The ball broke to Silva and Troost-Ekong stumbles into cleverly, leaving the Portuguese free to fire past the still recovering Bachmann at the near post. At half-time, Ranieri brought on Kuchka and Hernandez for Louza and Cleverly, which gave us a shape somewhere between a 4-4-2 and a 4-2-3-1. The result of the game was sealed in the 62nd minute when Silva turned Rose the wrong way before hitting a sublime finish into the top left corner of the net. As if to reinforce the difference in the two teams, City, who had changed 5 players from their midweek game, brought on De Bruyne and Mahrez. Watford shortly after replaced the unfortunate Rose with Jeremy Ngakia, who can himself feel unfortunate for not having had more game time this season. A strange trend that seemed to occur periodically through the game was Troost-Ekong came very far out of his defensive position to press a player. This is curious as 1, it leaves space behind him that has to be filled, 2, he would often do this beyond the midfield line, and 3, he rarely picked up a man inside his own 18-yard box. The last 15 minutes with nothing to lose, Watford tried to be more on the front foot. A ball played into King fell to João Pedro and then Kiko. The Spaniard found Hernandez forward run and the Colombian sent in a fierce shot beyond Ederson. It ricocheted off the far post, but Hernandez was first to react acrobatically, beating Ederson at his near post, almost an echo of City's second goal perhaps. Summary. Many would have taken a 3-1 defeat to City before the game. There were many positives to take from this. Bachmann and Sissoko's performances spring to mind, but so do the subs, who came on and were positive additions, especially Hernandez, who whilst always being busy, is very often, for me at least, less than effective. Today he was a really positive force, with and without the ball. The defence has to be the area to be reinforced in January, of course, but against this opposition, containment in itself was success. Goal difference may be a vital element at the end of the season. A kinder run of fixtures must now translate into points, and the team seem to be well set up to exploit this.